Well, the anti-racism protests across North America inspired our book reviewer, Wayne Button, this week to look up a book written in 1959. The book is called Black Like Me, written by an American journalist named John Howard Griffin. Wayne's here to tell us more. Good morning.
Good morning, Janice. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Is this book nonfiction? What is the story behind it?
It's a very amazing, true social experiment almost. So John Howard Griffin is a journalist, and he wanted to expose the Deep South for the racism that it is. He's a white man from Texas, and his magazine that he was writing for agreed. So what they did was he actually went to a dermatologist. He took pills for several days to help change the pigmentation of the skin, and he spent sometimes up to 15 hours a day under an ultraviolet light, and eventually with time, he was actually to change the pigmentation of the skin to appear as an African-American man. And what he did was he actually went and traveled 6 weeks through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, a number of different states, and he took notes and wrote a journal, which is in this book, about his social experiment of what it's like to be African-American in the Deep South in the 60s.
So what kind of experiences did he have, Wayne?
You know, some of the things that really stood out to me in the book, it's not racism in the way that you would think. So he wasn't like arrested. He wasn't like, no one used the M-word or anything like that. But just little subtle things that was different for him. Back then, the biggest thing was, which is very annoying in the book, he mentions all the time about how hard it is to find a washroom that he can use. Every time he's downtown area, he has to sometimes walk 40 minutes out of the way just to use a washroom because they're segregated. And it's very well known in the African-American community. Like, if you're going to that part of town, there's not many washrooms there, so be careful. So that was very, that's different today, but that was very interesting to read. He also does a lot of hitchhiking. And what was very odd was he was picked up by a lot of, white people as he was hitchhiking, but they would almost partake in weird conversations with him. Conversations that I guess the way he words it is, that they wouldn't have with their local, white other friends, that they could kind of talk with him. Almost like, I guess I'd use the word locker room talk. So very odd conversations like that. And just subtle things like the way people talk to him and look at him. And a lot of states, like when he was in Alabama, he would actually refrain from going out at night because he heard a lot of bad things that would happen at night to African-American people. So just some subtle racism, things like that he actually exposed in the book.
Now, the book was written in 1959. Do you think it's still current today?
I mean, one of the big things that stood out to me that he mentions, which is probably evolved today, is a lot of, like, how do I explain it? Not a lot of equality in the metropolitan areas at that time compared to the rural areas. So in the metropolitan areas, African Americans didn't have access to libraries, didn't have access to different schools and stuff like that. So they were actually segregated in a way where they were kept down to not be as educated as a white person. In the rural areas, there were no libraries. There were no, sometimes there was only one school and everybody went to it. So the equality was a lot different in the rural areas. But the internet today and the television probably changed that a little bit, where people in more isolated areas don't have to go to a library or don't have to go to a museum. They can access knowledge online. They can access knowledge to TV. So that probably really, I assume, helped change the racial equality issues in rural areas as well.
Wayne, what kind of reaction did this book get from readers back in the 50s and 60s?
That's the interesting thing that really shocked me about the book, because when he was done, he received, some hate from people. He received over 6,000 letters, and only 9 of them were abusive in nature. What he said was most of the letters he got was actually from white people in those states, and they were writing him because they were very happy that he did what he did, and he exposed the racism in their states. The way that he words it is basically a lot of the white people were more uncomfortable with their racist friends than they were with the actual racism in their state. So they were really happy that he that he exposed this. Now, on the flip side, a couple years after, he was attacked on the side of the road by a group of white men. He was actually put in the hospital. So there was obviously some hate and some appreciation for it. It got a lot of attention in pop culture.
Now, this book was also turned into a movie, wasn't it?
Correct, yeah. I've never seen it, but a couple years later, it was turned into a movie, yes.
And I believe from the notes in front of me, the DVD was released in December 11th of 2012 in North America from Video Services Corp. And it also includes a documentary titled Uncommon Vision about John Howard Griffin, who was the journalist, which is the main character that the movie is based on. So sure, that sounds like a pretty interesting one to check out, I'm sure. I also want to pass along this morning that, Wayne, we do have some more book suggestions. CBC Books has a few suggestions out today, 25 books about being Black in Canada, and you can check the titles out at cbc.ca/books. Now, we're going to get into our conversation with TV Wayne, but we want you, Book Wayne, to stay on the line because Wayne Walsh has found a TV show that he knows you're going to like.
I can't promise you that I can protect you from what's behind that door. Terrible things. Things that will scar you forever. I'm sort of turning Werner Herzog now.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Thomas Middleditch.
That's Ben Schwartz.
We're Middleditch and Schwartz. Yeah. Everything will be made up on the spot. Every character, every sentence, everything in the universe. We don't know what will happen. We're going to ask the audience a question, a prompt, if you will, and that will be the inspiration for our show. Oh, no, I hit your microphone a little bit. Oh, no, I hit your microphone a lot of it.
Are you best man?
I don't know that we know.
You're my best man. I need you to do me a favor.
Yeah.
Your best man?
Yes.
It's my first semester of law school.
A legally binding.
I'm going to get an email when the job interview is.
You're a gazelle. You're a gazelle and you want this job, don't you, gazelle? Are you hungry, you little gazelle? Show me what you eat.
I don't want
Show me what you eat.
Go on, get it over with.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
And that is improv.
And that's a clip from the trailer for a 3-part Netflix comedy series called Middleditch and Schwartz. Good morning, Wayne Walsh. Good morning, Wayne Walsh.
Good morning.
Good morning. What did you like about Middleditch and Schwartz?
I liked that it was something that I wasn't expecting, to be honest with you. I grew up at a time that Whose Line Was It Anyways came out, and at the time it was spoke about in schools as being one of the funniest shows there is. But that has more of a game feeling to it, and this is just two guys being absolute professionals of improv, and it's something spectacular to watch, and I didn't expect what I was getting, to be honest.
I got to agree. Whose Line Is It Anyway was hilarious. One of my favorite shows. So what makes up Middleditch and Schwartz? How does that compare?
I find with the two people you have, it's more kind of modern. The two guys are mid-30s, been around a little bit. They've both been in TV shows that have had incredible success. Thomas Middleditch is a Canadian from Nelson, BC, and he was the lead character in Silicon Valley on HBO. Ben Schwartz was John Ralphio on Parks and Rec, and he's one of the most memorable characters you had in terms of being just out there and a bit fun, and he brings that to the stage in this that you wouldn't expect these two characters from scripted TV shows to actually show how great of actors and improv they are.
Now, the poster for the show says it's totally unscripted, that they're flying by the seat of their pants. What are the episodes about?
When you watch the episodes, you don't know what you're going to get. I was a little bit hesitant to get into it. I mentioned that when I was speaking to one of your coworkers that I was never big into the players and that sort of series. But when you see these people do this on show, it makes you really interested. There is, when you watch them get into the characters, I would like to tell you what it's about, but it changes so much during an episode. It'll start with just a job interview, and before you know it, they're meeting a clone of Lorne Michaels, and the characters are actually getting kind of hot around the collar, knowing that their careers are based on the godfather of comedy being Lorne Michaels, the producer of Saturday Night Live. So I like to say what they're about, but they change so often that you need to watch it just to get the whole concept of how they make an hour-long improv of two people to be as entertaining as what it is and keep you interested the entire time.
Now, Wayne Walsh, you said that you think Wayne Button would really enjoy this show. Why?
Well, I guess people have kind of figured out that Hangin with Wayne and Wayne were actually two friends outside of this. And for years, when or Dr. Button moved back to Labrador City after being away at school and getting his education, he was a major player in Labrador City. Did a lot of plays, did a lot for the community, and was involved in that sort of, let's say, side of Labrador City and the arts. And seeing that these guys, what they do, and the masters of their craft, I figure any kind of player would be over the top to see how great they're doing what they're doing. But the other side of this is it's good for anybody that's above 18 years of age.
Wayne Button, have you seen this show?
No, I'm actually amazed hearing about it. I haven't heard about it, so I definitely gotta check it out. And yeah, I've done nothing like that, but I've done improv and stuff before, and it's hilarious. It's a bit of an art form, but yeah, I definitely gotta check it out for sure.
Well, we didn't know you had the talent of improv. Maybe we'll have to get you to do that someday. I won't put you on the spot this morning, though.
That's okay, Janice. I'm making it all up as I go. I just haven't told you guys yet.
Before we do let you go this morning, Wayne Button, we know that on Monday things are opening back up a little. You have a clinic. Are you going to be opening up on Monday?
Yes, yeah. I've been spending the week calling patients and rebooking them and cleaning the office and getting things ready. But yeah, I'm supposed to be opening back up Monday, and hopefully I'm busy for a long time.
Are you nervous about the reopen?
Not really. The rules haven't changed too drastically for chiropractors. I have to wear a mask, and my administrator has to wear a mask, and patients have to wash their hands before they come in. They have to sign a consent stating that they haven't been in the province and they have no symptoms. So we're not too restricted. It's going to add like an extra maybe 4 or 5 minutes maybe to a patient's treatment, which is fine by me. So it's not too bad, I got to say. I think it'll be okay.
Sounds like it's going to cut into your reading time, though.
Yeah, I tried to get I got a couple books on deck here ahead of time for you guys, but yeah, we'll cut into my reading time a bit, but that's okay. I've been spoiled the last 3 months, so.
Well, thank you so much to both of you for joining us again today.
Oh, thank you, Janice.
Thanks, Janice.
And that's this week's book suggestion from Wayne Button. The book is Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin, and Wayne Walsh wants us all to watch Middleditch and Schwartz on Netflix.